Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to the live stream. I hope everyone is doing well. As you come into the chat, let me know that you're here by saying hi to me. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what's going on with your journey to the past this past couple of weeks. I hope everyone's doing well. Tonight's topic is going to be about the trader's path. This is one of the roads that is most of the time is very confused with the Great Wagon Road. And we'll discuss some of those things that lead up to the confusion. But first of all, I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening. There are a few things that will be coming out on Piedmont Trails during the next 3 months. We will be having 3 batches. That's 1, 2, 3. 3 batches of the Colonial Indentured Servants Project released. And those batches will include some names, the locations, court records, and ship logging documents, and any other materials and details that we've been able to find on these individuals. There will be 3 batches coming out in the next 3 months. We will also release 3 segments of our Mecklenburg Declaration podcast series. The intro was released this week. If you've missed that, we urge you to watch it so you can get an understanding of where we're going on this. And it'll be divided out between 7 and 10 different segments on this series. And that's the Mecklenburg Declaration podcast. The podcast, we've had a lot of response asking if it was going to be on Spotify. We're not doing this one on Spotify. It will only be available on YouTube. But we urge you guys to share it and talk about it. Make your comments on our podcast videos and let us know what your opinions are. We will also be releasing updated road investigations on our website page and also Great Wagon Road project updates. Also, what we're going to be concentrating on the next 3 months are church histories. Church histories are very vital to our genealogy research. And in the coming months, we will be sharing various church histories with the information that they have on hand. Okay. A great many of these in the beginning will be in Virginia, in South Carolina, and in North Carolina. Okay. We will also have 3 brand new pages on the website that will be coming up. This pertains to our projects of the North Carolina Regulators Project, the Patriots and Loyalists Project, and the Civil War Home Guard Project. All of our data that we have been able to accumulate with all 3 of these projects will be placed on the website now with their own brand new pages. And that'll be coming up over the next 3 months. Plus, we will also have various articles about different topics and subjects. And there's no telling, I'm working on one now about Wilkes County, North Carolina, about the Mulberry Meeting House. So that one will be coming out in the next few days or so. To learn more about us and what all we have going on, visit PiedmontTrails.com and join the journey with us, okay? Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight. Hi, Melissa, and hi, Scotty, and hi, Wanda. I hope you guys are doing great from New York, from a little bit everywhere tonight. Okay, let's get started with the topic. I want you guys to join in with a conversation. Say hi to me. Let me know where you're watching from, and let's talk a little bit about the trader's path. You've heard me mention this road in nearly every migration route video that we have released over the years. There's been a ton of live streams where I have mentioned this road, the Trader's Path, and there's also been many articles on our website that we brought this trail up. I've stated it as a migration route, but it also, not only was it a migration route, it was a trading route, and it was a military route. It was all of these things together. This road was much, much more than just a regular migration route over time. The actual road has been known by several different names all throughout the years. It's been known as Big Penn's Trace. It's been known as the Indian Trading Path. It's been known as the Occaneechi Trail, and it's been known as the Trader's Path. Its origins date to the first decade of the 18th century. That means between 1700 and 1710. This road got its start. Many confuse the Great Wagon Road with the Trader's Path, but they are completely different and separate routes, completely. And they have different characteristics. They don't travel to the same destinations. They're completely different routes. The Great Wagon Road is nothing. It has no associations except for one, and we'll get to that tonight with the Trader's Path. Tonight, I will share our version and our opinion about this historic trail. In other words, I'm going to share with you what we believe is this original route, okay, to give you some ideas. We're also going to share links and references and sources, and I will post them in the comments section underneath this video tonight as soon as we are done with the live stream. But we're doing this because we encourage everyone to research further into the Trader's Path and learn more about it, especially if you suspect that your ancestors traveled or used this road. Then we encourage everyone to learn more about it. In many articles and videos, we've proclaimed the Trader's Path as the first major wagon road pertaining to mileage and distance of over 50 miles in North Carolina. We are not saying that it was the very first wagon road in North Carolina. That would be crazy to do that, because on the eastern sections of North Carolina, there were many, many small wagon routes, wagon roads that connected community to another community. We are proclaiming the Trader's Path as the first wagon road as a migration route, or as a route that traveled 50 miles or more, that had any length or mileage to it. That is what we are stating. Okay, James Thigpen created a road per the instructions of Colonel Moore in 1703. We believe that this James Thigpen used portions of an earlier route that connected the Siouan tribes together, covering north and east of Eno River, traveling southwest, crossing the Haw River, and extending to the Catawba Nation near the present-day North Carolina and South Carolina border. We believe that Thigpen, James Thigpen, extended this route well into Georgia and continued further west into present-day Alabama. A horse trail extended into this particular area in Alabama, all the way, and from that point all the way to the Mississippi River in the late 17th century. Okay, late 17th century, not 18th. The late 1600s, a horse trail was present from Alabama to the Mississippi River. We believe that James Thigpen connected to this trading route, this Indian Trail, is what many refer to it as, and that became part of Thigpen's trace. To learn more about this, we encourage everyone to see the journal of John Lettier in 1670, and I'll post some links for you guys to further research this. James Needham and Gabriel Arthur in 1673. For 43 years, this route was used as the main trading path with long horse-pack trains from Georgia and South Carolina traders to the native villages that lined this route. 43 years. We documented these years in a very detailed video entitled The Trading Years, and I think we did this on a live stream, and I don't think it was last year. It may have been the year before, but we went into great detail about how South Carolina and Virginia greatly participated with trading with the Native Americans in North Carolina, and they came from both directions, north and south, and they used this particular route. And we go into detail about the items, who these men were, the items that they had for trade. And this is when the fur trade was really, really getting cranked up in North Carolina. And furs and deer skins were being shipped to England very, very often. It became a very good money market. Okay. So if you'll look for that video of the trading years, if you want to learn more about how trade was being conducted during this time frame, that's a good place to start. And I also listed references on that video. Back to James Thigpen. 5 years ago, you would not find anything hardly about Thigpen's trace if you were to look on the internet, if you were to go to Google and punch it in on your browser or whatever, and you did a minor search on it, you would find very, very little on it in Georgia 5 years ago. But now things have changed. Now, thanks to awareness, you can find many groups and many organizations and individuals who are preserving the historical significance of this road. Georgia Historical Society is one of them. They have really stepped up to the plate, and they have really done some research on this road and preserving it. Also, the Georgia State Archives have become more involved in this, and there are many, many, many individuals on the ground who are now becoming more proactive in saving the history of this historic trail. Colonel James Moore was the governor of North Carolina when he appointed James Thigpen to construct the road. And he did this because they were planning on several attacks on Spanish located in Florida, to hopefully to retain power of Carolina during this time. This is during the Queen Anne's War. Carolina really struggled to hang on to power, British power, during these years. And their largest struggle was coming from the Spanish that were located in St. Augustine, Florida. So the idea about Thigpen creating this military route during this time period was to create a clear and easygoing route for military personnel and equipment to travel from North Carolina down into the South and go into St. Augustine in Florida. Several attacks occurred during these years, and that's what this road was primarily set up to be. If we go forward to 1740 decade, we're going to jump ahead now. And before I get to the 1740s, I just want to reiterate, after Queen Anne's War and, North Carolina troops, the military were very successful with their attacks on St. Augustine area. They held on to their British power. Then South Carolina and Virginia used this route so that they could entice more trade with the Native Americans, create more communications with them, and use them for their political gain and for their military gain. It worked both ways on that. Colonial politics always comes into play. North Carolina was not in the trading years like the other two colonies of Virginia and South Carolina. They let the other two colonies pretty much control their area in North Carolina. So the traders from Virginia were very active in the northern sections of North Carolina, going down in the Piedmont area. And the traders from South Carolina, they pretty much controlled everything else. And it wasn't until years later that North Carolina became more active with the trading. But the route that they used primarily in the state of North Carolina was this particular route, the traders' route. Now, if we move forward to 1740, it has now become a wide wagon road, okay, from Fort Henry, Virginia, to the Hall River area in North Carolina, okay? So if you get your maps, you look up Fort Henry. Fort Henry was located in Petersburg, Virginia. That's Petersburg today. So if you travel from Fort Henry, just a little south of Richmond, Virginia, and go down to the Hall River, there's your wagon road, 1740s to 1745. It's a wagon road now, okay? So now you can imagine people traveling, coming into North Carolina, going this route. Fort Henry was also known as Fort Wood, primarily after Abraham Wood. If you want to learn more about him, he's an important character. Also, it was later known as Peter's Point, which later translated into Petersburg. The area held a fort there since 1611, in that area, 1611, okay? From Petersburg, Virginia, during the 1740 decade, the road crossed the Hatcher Run in Virginia. Then it crossed the Roanoke River near where Cotton Ferry, that's Cotton Ferry, was located by 1767. There were several ferries located along the Roanoke River near where the Trader's Path crossed over. The best calculations that we've been able to pinpoint down is right after Hatcher's Run, we trace it down to a particular area in the river where they crossed. And by 1767, there was a ferry in that exact location, and it was referred to as Cotton Ferry. From there, it crossed Smith Creek in North Carolina, and then it crossed the Tar River and the Eno River, approximately 10 to 12 miles from the Occoneechee village, okay? And it headed straight to the old Haw Fields in present-day Alamance County, which is at the site of Haw Fields Presbyterian Church. The actual church dates to 1749, okay? 1749 is the actual church date. The route continues and crosses the Deep River, okay, from that point. And then it continues on to the Yadkin at present-day Salisbury at the Trader's Ford. As it reached the northern sections of the Rocky River, the old trading route from Charleston, South Carolina, meets the Trader's Path just south of Buffalo Creek. Many confuse this connection as a split. I often hear this. They'll say, well, right before the road, and this is how it starts. Right before the Great Wagon Road reaches Charlotte, North Carolina, it formed a split. And it split right in two. And one went more south and the other one went southwest. Okay, let's back up. First of all, the Great Wagon Road didn't travel to Charlotte. The Great Wagon Road ended in Salisbury. It meets the Trader's Path. It dead ends at the Trader's Ford, where the Trader's Path continues. From that point, the Trader's Path crosses over to Buffalo Creek, okay, and various other native villages that were located in that area at that time, travels in towards present-day Charlotte. It continues. It doesn't split. There is a road that has been prevalent for years as part of a trading route as well, and it travels from Charleston, South Carolina, and it comes up that way, and it meets the Trader's Path. The road didn't split. This is a road that travels all the way to Charleston and has been there for many years, and it meets at the Trader's Path. These are all trading routes, okay? Okay, I just want to get that straight. All right. It's just a place where the Charleston Road, like I said, the split is not a split. It is just a place where, you have roads meet. So the Charleston Road meets with the Trader's Path. The road continues into present-day Charlotte, Trader's Path does, and it continues on a southwest track to the Catawba River, okay, and into South Carolina. It heads for the Saluda River, and then it goes onward in a southwestern direction to Fort Augusta in Georgia. The Trader's Path traveled 424 miles in 1750. 424 miles in 1750 from Petersburg, Virginia to Augusta, Georgia. The horse path continued from Augusta, Georgia throughout the colony of Georgia and reached the Mississippi River, okay? A horse path. This was one of the most popular migration routes during the migration years. The Trader's Path was always reliable, and it never wavered. It was a wagon road used by tens of thousands of families, and the road became more popular, especially after the American Revolutionary War, with families using this route to settle deep into the Deep South and going west from there. We can't understand how this route gets confused with the Great Wagon Road. I personally don't get it, but this is what I hear. But from a few that they think, what they get confused is that the Trader's Path traveled parallel to the Great Wagon Road. So a lot of times what we hear that the Trader's Path was first, okay, in Virginia, And then parallel to the Trader's Path was the Great Wagon Road. And, they kind of coincided. Maybe they kind of drifted upon one another. These are things that I've heard. And that's how you get confused. You can't, in other words, you can't pinpoint down the exact path of what the Trader's Path was and what the Great Wagon Road was. But that's not true. You can. The Great Wagon Road traveled a distance of 100 miles, over 100 miles apart from the Trader's Path until they get into North Carolina. And then the closer they get to the Salisbury, North Carolina, and Rowan County, that's where they meet. Other than that, they have nothing else in common. Nothing in common. Other than that. They do not travel parallel, and they are many miles apart until they get to that point at the Trader's Ford in Salisbury, North Carolina. That's their only characteristics that are together. The trading ford on the Yadkin River is where the Great Wagon Road ends at the connection at the Trader's Path. When we began tracing this road, the Trader's Path, we started during the most prevalent trading years. And we did this because of the amount of documentation that was available from all types of materials, ranging from letters and journals, records of trading, different correspondence, maps. There was all types of materials from the trading years that we could rely on investigating this road. And that's actually where we started. So technically, we didn't start at the beginning. We started with what we felt like had the most records, and we were successful in doing that. From that point, we could either move back, to Queen Anne's War in that time frame, or we can move forward to the American Revolutionary War after to see the differences in the characteristics of the road versus how it was during the trading years when it was used for trading with the Native Americans. That was the fun part with this road. And we find that we do this with a lot of our colonial road investigations. We'll pick a time frame in which we think that road was the most popular. Or that we think that we can find the most records in a particular area. And that's a lot of times how we start with our road investigations. And that's how we did it with this one. I wanted to also take a moment to acknowledge all the villages, the native villages and the forts. And a lot of these forts were built by the British. The British built the forts. They maintained them. They would have men who were stationed at these forts, maybe not very many. And then these villages would be located near them, or sometimes right at the fort, or along the trading route. And I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge these villages and the forts. And I just wanted to name a few so that you can use them as keywords or for searches later on, and maybe you can make connections as well. And then you'll see what we're talking about. First one is Saponi, Tutilo, the Kiowa, the Sisapaha, the Okanichi, the Shakori, the Eno, and the Saras. Along the trading path, when it was very popular during the trading years, most of the natives that were and I need to include the Catawba in there as well, but most of them were Siouan-speaking Native Americans. Okay, they went by the Siouan tongue. The Okanichi tribe was kind of like they were kind of trade negotiators. They were located in central Piedmont area to the northern areas of North Carolina, and they would often correspond with other various tribes and villages and communities, and they would go out and trade, represent trade with other villages. The Okanichi would, okay, kind of like the distributor. They were considered as the distributor of the trading years. The British would bring various items to trade, and then the Okanichi tribal members would take off, and then they would go trade with other villages, okay? And then they would gather skins. So they were kind of like the distributor. In John Lawson's journal, published in 1709, I've got a copy of it here, and I have shared this many times, I know, through our various videos, but it's entitled A New Voyage to Carolina. It goes into detail about the native communities that can be found along the Trader's Path. And he goes into very detail. He goes into detail about their customs, their dress, the way they talk, and so forth, and where they're located. It's a fascinating book. If you don't have that, I highly recommend it. By John Lawson, A New Voyage to Carolina. I think the Trader's Path is not recognized today for what it did in North Carolina or South Carolina and the southern region. It is a very misunderstood road that still has so much to offer and has so much for us to learn from. You can see its early days in various maps and various materials, but these don't compare to the longevity of the road and its history. There are places in several of our main public highways today that actually travel the exact same area that the Trader's Path did long ago. I just, from my understanding, I think there's only two. I know for sure one, but I think there's only two state historical markers along for this route, for this road that recognize it. And, with me, I feel like there should be at least 20, maybe 25, noting different events, and noting that a certain native village stood here or a fort stood here and signify what was along the road. I think the roads are so important to our history and genealogy. Without them, it's just we would be lost. I don't have no other way to say it. What's the other saying I have? If you follow the roads, you'll find the people. So I think the Trader's Path is one of the most misunderstood roads. I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's from like earlier books where I've seen references of the Trader's Path passing, along routes of the Great Wagon Road. Maybe years ago, researchers were confused by that. I'm not sure how it all got started. But I think it's important that we all, set the record straight and distinguish the differences between the roads, because both roads are just as important. There you go. That's what we need to say. Both of these roads are just as important to the other. Great Wagon Road, Trader's Path. They are just as important. There's another route that will come into play that we're going to shed light on too, and that's the Greens Path in North Carolina. Migration Trail, another one. All of these migration trails are very, very important. They all are. Our Trader's Path investigation will be among the first to appear on our website over the next few months. When we release this information, we're going to go in detail, mile by mile, of what we've been able to discover. And hopefully, this will bring even more awareness to the original Thigpen's Trace, we hope. Okay, you guys, I want to look at some of your comments. Carol says, looking forward to all of your projects. You're doing amazing work. Hi, from St. Augustine. Well, thank you so much, Carol. Thank you for your kind words. And Jan says, I'm going to have to watch this later. I'm sorry to miss the live. No worries. I completely understand about schedules. Believe me, I do. If you have any questions or comments, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go on and let you know that this is going to mark the end of our live streams for this year. We're going to need the next 3 months to continue part of our recovery effort after Hurricane Elena. We also need the time to get caught up so that we can get back on our regular schedule. We've not been able to do that. We've kind of been here and there and a little bit everywhere, and we're just not organized yet. So we need that time to get back in sync. Plus, we have a lot of material and data that we want to get on the website and to share with all of you guys real soon. So we're going to have extra time to do that as well. And plus, we got the podcast too that's going on. So we're going to use the next 3 months to do that. And then in January, our plans are in January 2026, our live streams will begin again. If something happens and we change our minds and we come back earlier, we will be sure to post it here on our YouTube channel, and we will also post it on our website with any updates. In the meantime, we will be posting videos, and we will be continuing our podcast on the Mecklenburg Declaration series through the next 3 months. All right, let's see. I don't think we'll be sharing references and other links in the comments underneath the video. So if you don't have any questions, I'm going to end it here. Let me look at seeing what Wanda's got. Wanda says, I would like to know if Route 11 in Augusta County, Virginia is part of the original Wagon Road. Wanda, yes, portions of it is. Yes, ma'am. Portions of Route 11 in Augusta County, Virginia is a part of the original Great Wagon Road. Yep. Yep. All right. And Scotty says, thanks. Scotty, you're welcome. And Wanda says, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, Wanda. Okay. Elaine says, thank you. Elaine, no time, no see. I hope you're doing well. And you're very, very welcome. All right, you guys, we're going to end it here. I hope everybody has a great week this week, and I wish you well on your journey to the past. And thank you so much for joining us, and God bless.